It's time to kick off yet another Precision Racing League season. It's Trucking Wednesday once more, and what better place rather to kick off a new season of the PRL NASCAR Truck Series than in Texas? Actually, there's probably a lot of better places, but as we've seen so many times previously, even at the unfavored NASCAR tracks, to be kind about it, the drivers of the Precision Racing League NASCAR Truck Series can still put on quite a show. This is round one of the PRL NASCAR Truck Series, live from the virtual Texas Motor Speedway. Hi everybody, Joey Tebbin here, back with Terry Radford in the booth, and Josh Lee is behind the scenes. Terry, I was being kind about Texas in the intro, but I don't think it's any kind of secret that you asked the 37 drivers in the field tonight, they're probably not that big of a fan of this place.
When you said that there's no better place to start the PRL season than Texas, I was sitting here in my head going, all right, one, two, and I got up to like 100 places in my head before you said, Terry, you know, this is what we got. My backyard's better than Texas. My commode probably races better than Texas. And if you don't know what a commode is, that's a toilet for people that don't, you know, listen to Southern folks talk. But this place sucks. And I said the same thing about Kentucky, and the PRL went out and put on one hell of a show. And I don't expect anything different from here. I'm watching practice right now, and I see the 48. Well, him and the 5 are having a little fun. Abner Acosta, obviously back for round 2 for him. But, yeah, I think they're going to do a great job here tonight. But if it gets boring and it gets on the show, we'll just start cracking Cheez-Its jokes again. We got enough material for Cheez-Its for round 2.
Yeah, 30 seconds in, and we've already got commode talk, so we'll fill the air somehow. But here's the next 10 weeks of the season. We won't be in Texas forever. Next week, we throw everything away. We throw all semblance of normalcy away to go to Talladega, then the shorter track at Iowa, Vegas, Miami, Martinsville, Phoenix, and then we throw away the normal NASCAR schedule, and we end the season at some interesting locations. iRacing Super Speedway, 2 super speedways in one season, and then Dover and Fontana to close things out.
This is exciting. I mean, you think about it. Obviously, championship week, I guess is what we could call it. It's not Ford, week anymore. It's just Phoenix. But then iRacing Super Speedway, a fantasy track, and I'll leave that joke alone. We'll say that probably when we get there. But Dover and then Auto Club, super cool tracks to end it with. Auto Club I would say, is going to be much more entertaining than what Daytona was, because it's a skill track, but it's a strategy track as well, so we could kind of throw some darts set there and have more math equations, which is going to be miserable, that we're going to have to sit here and do math for, I don't know, an hour and some change.
I think that's going to be a week that I'm actually going to be out. I'm going to be going to Ohio for Thanksgiving, so you're
I'm going to be doing math.
You're going to be in charge of math for that week, Terry, but speaking of math, there's a new dynamic this season as well. If you were here with us on Sunday night for the NASCAR Cup Series broadcast, you kind of know what's up, but just as the Cup Series has a playoffs, the NASCAR Truck Series also has a playoffs for 2022 here. The end of 2022, the previous 3 NASCAR Truck Series seasons, add them all up, get all the best drivers, all the top drivers from the last 3 seasons, and they will be competing for still the individual 2022 Season 4 title across the next 10 races. There's also going to be the 2022 playoffs, the familiar playoff bracket that we all know from real life, and those 16 drivers are going to be fighting for not only one championship, but 2. It could be 2 separate drivers, it could be the same driver, but there's 2 championships to fight for.
Damn, that makes even more math at Auto Club. Luckily for this one, it's going to be whoever wins or finishes higher out of the 4 that's going to be there. And looking at the board, I'm going to go ahead and go on a limb and say that the 184 and the 5, we'll just throw them in the round of 4. And I'm going to pick 2 more because I can. I'm going to go Austin Hunter because he's got a badass side behind him all the time. And I'm going to take Adam Zemke. I think Zemke in that 57 is going to be really hot. He's a hot pick this season.
We'll have to wait and see. Give it 9 weeks, and hopefully Terry hasn't just cursed every single driver he just mentioned out of the round of 4. But before we go,
on the pole.
he is on the pole for now. But before we can get into qualifying, of course, as always, we have to thank all the people who make these broadcasts possible in the first place. Of course, VCO, first and foremost, the virtual competition organization, always helping us out on RaceSpotTV and helping to make every single one of these Precision Racing League broadcasts possible this season and every season. Also, Advanced Sim Racing. You saw them before this broadcast, as you always do. Owned and operated by passionate sim racers, Advanced Sim Racing designs and builds the sturdiest and most durable aluminum profile racing simulation cockpits available in the market today. All PRL members also get a 5% discount on ASR products using the Precision5 coupon code. We are also helped this season by Racebox Sim Racing. Racebox offers mid and high-end button boxes for sim racing enthusiasts, from the casual gamer up to the most meticulous sim racing driver. Competitively priced and carefully handcrafted, our button boxes are an enjoyable addition to any sim racing setup. Visit RaceSpotTV.com and get a 5% discount using the Precision5 coupon code. And from Racebox to RaceLab apps, RaceLab helps you to improve your driving skills. With modern overlays, race statistics, and native VR integration, you can get the best out of iRacing. Start using it now for free at racelab.app. And of course, the Butt Kicker. Butt Kicker products provide an incredible immersion and realism to every game. Feel every nuance and truly put yourself in the driver's seat with the Butt Kicker. And last but not least, PRL NASCAR Truck Series coverage is brought to you by NinjaTrader. Ready to compete against the financial markets? Of course you are. Supporting over 60,000 users across the globe, NinjaTrader provides award-winning trading software and brokerage services. NinjaTrader is always free to use for advanced charting, backtesting, and trade simulation. Visit ninjatrader.com to get started with a risk-free trading simulator and start tracking your performance. I swear they put that last sentence in there just to make this transition as easy as possible. We're tracking the truck driver's performance for the first time this season. Qualifying is actually coming to an end. It appears that just about everybody who's going to go out for a lap has put out their laps. And surprise, surprise, we kick off a new season, and it's the defending champion, Abner Acosta, on pole at Texas. As the clock ticks down in qualifying, we will load up the grid. But, Terry, Abner on pole, it's almost like a foregone conclusion sometimes.
Yeah, I'm kind of tired of it. He does his own thing. I kind of disrespected somebody. I left Sean Powell out. How in the heck did I overlook the driver of the 45 truck, who quite possibly last season to roll over at the end? He was running up front every race. He had an opportunity to win, and I just completely overshadowed him. My bad, Sean.
Well, let's take a look at the starting grid for tonight's race at Texas. Abner Acosta on pole over the NASCAR Cup Series season opener winner earlier on Sunday. Sean Powell, then his new teammate Scotty Reinshield is third alongside Whataback's Thomas Sink. Whataback's Bradley Holly is right behind, and Doug Evans starts in the top 6 tonight. Kick the season off. Behind him is Richard Regan Jr., and alongside him is Colton Lane. Jeff Evans wasn't originally supposed to be here tonight. He was supposed to be driving out to get married, but weather has prevented that, and he is in the field tonight to race against his dad, Doug, once more. Patrick Cowgill is back in the NASCAR Truck Series as well, and he's going to start alongside Jeff. Then Mike Richter was second in practice. He's 11th in qualifying, and he's alongside Jeff Hollingsworth to round out the top 12. CM Pennington and Adam Zepke are row 7, Austin Hunter and Ryan Traver row 8, and Tom Amassi and Robert Gow 17th and 18th. P19 belongs to Brandon Walter, and he's alongside another returning driver, Adam Shane. James Dewar is 21st, and Nicholas Hunter in the always a fan favorite Purified Racing Liquid truck is 22nd. Ozzie Milwane of All of Sim Sports moving into the NASCAR Truck Series is 23rd, and he's alongside Jose the Funky Cold Medina, yet another regular. Oliver Gow is 25th alongside Dalton Geyer in 26th. Charles Sumner, Garrett Austin, then Stacy Hunter, the third of the Hunters, and Dylan Schmidt round out the top 30, but the hits keep on coming. Brian Hoskins will start shotgun of the drivers who qualified, and there are 6 other drivers behind him. Doyle Lawrence, Eric Lambert, Chris Perez, Robert Gilmore, and Zach Panzarella elected not to qualify, and Mark Kalin was not allowed to qualify because he was a naughty boy at Daytona to end last season, and he is serving a penalty from that last race of the season.
I just thought it was because he was a Kentucky fan. We're out there giving each other crap in the chat, and he said after 3 nights of racing, he's already tired. I booed the man because, that's what I do. He wants to bring back the blue and white truck, Joey, but he didn't have very good luck in there. I mean, yeah, his Kentucky Wildcats are 3-0, but they've played nobody but a bunch of garbage. And by the time they come to Rocky Top, they're going to get, those Wildcats are going to get smacked by our dog, and we'll send them back down to the crap hole that is Kentucky.
I'm going to pretend I know about basketball for the rest of the season.
Football. Football. We don't care about basketball in my house. It's football. I don't think he cares about basketball either. But we hate them in every sport. It doesn't matter what it is. That crappy, nasty blue that they put on, it's dreadful.
Yeah, I can only associate the name Wildcats with basketball teams for some reason. But anyway.
Because they're no good at anything else.
That's true. We're getting ready to stack them all up here for the 4th night in a row. It's the 5th or 6th series. I got to add them all up that we're going to kick off this week. But it is Abner Acosta on pole for the 20th time in the PRL NASCAR Truck Series alongside Sean Powell. The iRacing sedan pace car pulls onto Texas's pit road and the green flag is out. We are going green for yet another PRL NASCAR Truck Series season. Clean and green through lap number 1, and Abner Acosta still in control at the front. Sean Powell is on the attack, but both of them streaking away just a little bit as the field fanned out on lap 1, at least 3-4 wide down the back straight, and we're already almost single file down to about 15th place.
Yeah, everybody's wanting to get single file here at Texas. The bottom, it's the only place that you really want to run here. I heard on Monday night for RSR that there was only one true corner here at Texas, and that is a green. It looks like a driver got loose there and went down pit lane. Yeah, Tom Amasi in the pits, so we'll see if that's a drive-through or something that had happened to him here in a little bit. But this battle for the lead's heating up really well. Sean Powell, I mean, he's on it.
Sean Powell, not a playoff driver this season, but that is simply because he just showed up on the scene last season in Season 3. He hasn't been here all year. He wasn't here for Season 1 or Season 2 in 2022, but he came on the scene last season in the most dominant way possible. He won his very first PRL race at Nashville. Now he's back for his 2nd, or actually 3rd full season, because he also competes in the NASCAR the NASCAR Cup Series, rather. But we're already reaching lap. Forgive me, we're already reaching lap traffic. I'm already coughing up myself on lap 4 of this race, and Tom Amasi gets out of the way after whatever troubled him, whatever caused that drive-through on lap 1. I don't know if it was a penalty or what, but the bad luck for Tom Amasi, it's already here 5 laps into the season.
Yeah, it rolled over from the season, it seems like forever ago, but it was only, what, a month that we went without the PRL, if that. But holy crap. After Acosta throwing a block on lap 5 down the back straightaway, it puts Sean Powell to the outside, and which this is not the lane and not the track that you want to be stuck out there to the outside. While he did get the run off in 3 and 4, he's heating the mess out of those tires on the outside, and now he's going to try to pinch in turn 1. You dang sure don't want to do it and be on the outside here in turn 1.
Abner Acosta, always the tire saver, the less aggressive driver on these short runs, and he's kind of disagreeing with that statement with that huge block on Sean Powell. We've got a huge accident on the back straight. That's Nicholas Hunter in the background. Trouble already. I didn't think that would bring out the caution because he was off the racing surface, but the caution is out at Texas on lap number 6. Let's take a look at what happened to Nick Hunter. I think that's Ozzie Milwane on the inside in the 14.
Yeah, just contact. Yeah, the bottom here is kind of crazy. Then he's going to make contact again with the 55. He'll go slide to the bottom, and good on everybody else for missing. Looks like the driver caught the wall a tad bit, but not a whole lot of damage there to Nicholas Hunter. But this is, you see James Dewar. There's James Dewar in the 55. You could just slide up just a little bit. If you don't paint the white line down there at the bottom, it's a bad time. And Dewar, you can't slow it down. He just goes right into the wall, and unfortunately for him, he'll come down pit lane, get that damage repaired. James Dewar, that W machine, it'll be all right. It'll be back up there.
Yeah, I think James Dewar hit 2 trucks over the course of that accident, so he's probably got some damage to fix. Mark Kalin was also that driver you saw squeezing through that barely truck-shaped hole. I think that truck is a little bit crunkled as well because he kind of had to bounce off the safer barrier to fit between it and his spinning teammate there. So bad luck for Nicholas Hunter. Bad luck potentially for Tom Amasi. We don't actually know what caused his lap 1 incident to come down pit road. It might have been his own fault, but either way, he's going to be the lucky dog on this restart, and Tom Amasi will be back on the lead lap, and we will have something like 36 drivers back on the lead lap.
Yeah, you know, we just saw the lights on the catch fence. I think that's the coolest thing that Texas has. Like the whole speedway. That's probably the coolest thing. And then they put the lights on there, because the racing here is real life racing. Is just, oh gosh, it's not even worth it. Yeah, it's dumb.
A bunch of drivers at the back of the field have brought it down pit road. Some drivers with no damage, some with some. Charles Sumner has brought it down pit road. Chris Perez, Zach Panzarella, Stacy Hunter, James Dewar, of course, Mark Kalin, of course, Nicholas Hunter, of course, and Eric Lambert have all elected that we're 8 laps into the race. Might as well bring it down pit road, pull some sort of strategy, and for a lot of those drivers, get a lot of those crunkles fixed from that accident.
Nice camera work to our producer down there, putting us right on where these cars are coming off before here. Yeah, we're pacing, but it's always a good time. This is going to be the best season, I think, of the PRL so far, in my opinion. Obviously, I had to catch up and watch some of the older stuff, but the diversity or the variety of tracks that we're going to. Got a couple short tracks in there with Martinsville and Iowa, 2 super speedways. This just feels like it's going to be 2 championships. It's going to be a massive season for 10 weeks.
Well, as we crawl around Texas here under caution, it's a pretty long caution always here at Texas. Let's take a look at Tom Amasi. We're finally going to be able to see what happened to him early on. Why did he have to come down pit road? Let's see what happened to them. What happened? What happened? I'm losing my verb tenses here. To the 05 here, through turns 3 and 4. Did he just get loose? Yep, he got loose basically on turn in.
Oh, but hey, that's now watch him whip and watch him nay. He saved it. Look at me. We're like not even 10 laps in, and I'm rapping.
Yeah, and Tom Amasi's back on the lead lap, so you're not done rapping about him. He's back in contention.
Well, I don't know. I need a good beat in my ear. We'll see if the producer puts a non-royalty or royalty-free beat, and who knows? We might spit a rap.
Get that race spot music going.
Oh yeah. That's hot. That's hot. We need a little bit of beat to it, a little bit of kick drum, and we'll get us a PRL rap going.
Lights are off on the pace car. Finally, that is one problem with Texas Motor Speedway, and with a lot of these intermediates, the cautions they take a long while. You gotta fill time when a caution comes out at Texas, but we won't need to fill time any longer. It was a fairly short stint to start the race, but we had some solid racing, some big blocks from Abner Acosta, and we're going to restart with the top 10 essentially in the same shape they were 10 laps ago. But I'm ready to get going again at Texas. I'm sure I'm as tense as the rest of these drivers are.
Yeah, and Mark Kalin goes out there in the chat and said he's wrecked in every race this week. It sucks. Not as bad as the Kentucky Wildcats, but I'm just kidding. No, I'm surprised with Abner Acosta early in this race to throw those type of blocks. We didn't really see that of him last season. And then I think he knows that Sean Powell. I think he knows that Sean Powell's on his tail and that he's going to be a contender in every race.
Abner Acosta was the driver that did the 2 for last season. He won the Truck Series Championship. He won the Cup Series Championship. Could Sean Powell be the driver who does that this season? Way too early to tell, but why not theorize this early on? But anyway, the iRacing Sedan pace car will pull off for the 2nd time. And once again, we're going to go green at Texas to begin lap number 11. Abner Acosta back at the point of the field. He's going to accelerate very, very early, and the green flag's back out at Texas.
I think we could set up some storylines this season of who's up front right now. Thomas Sink, Richard Regan Jr. Up here in the 4th position. Not a surprise, but why not think that that could potentially be the Ford that is in contention? And oh yeah, don't forget Bradley Holly, the all-time winner. He's sitting in the top 5 now.
Yeah, Richard Regan Jr. part-time last season, wasn't able to fight for the championship, but he got multiple wins, so always a championship contender in any PRL NASCAR series is Richard Regan Jr. He's side by side with Thomas Sink right now. Sean Powell's trying to peek to the inside of Abner Acosta through the quad oval, but he's not going to be close enough. Thomas Sink ripping the high side, but Bradley Holly, his teammate's going to get to the inside of him in that 184.
Look at that little Willie Nelson look for Bradley Holly down there in the bottom box. Good looking out from producer guy to give us 2 shots. But I want to look at something right here that you're about to see in this 184. He's going to touch the grass a little bit. You see those tire marks in the grass already? That was from Richard Regan Jr. I know we're probably not supposed to say this, but I'm going to say it anyhow. You can't really tire tip in these trucks. I've tried it. It doesn't end well for you.
Yeah, there's also not very long grassy straights at many ovals, except Indianapolis, I guess. Sean Powell peeks to the inside of Abner Acosta. Abner leaves the door open this time, and Sean Powell, for the first time, the leader's not somebody named Abner Acosta. Sean Powell is in control at the front, and he's bringing his teammate Richard Regan Jr. with him as well. Regan kicks up a little bit of dust and leaves Abner Acosta in the dust.
I would calm down on leaving Abner Acosta in the dust. You might piss him off for next week. He might come in here and lead every lap like he did many times last season. But this is good to see. The battle within the battle. You see the drivers there in blue, a 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th. That's all battling for the secondary championship. But Sean Powell and Richard Regan Jr. don't care about their second championship. They're going to race them just as hard. And I am kind of curious, and I guess we'll talk to one of these drivers eventually throughout the season. How are they racing the other championship that other championship's the best of the best? Do you care more about the individual championship for the whole season, or do you care about the champions of regular guys in the PRL? Which championship's more meaningful to them?
I got to imagine that question could be easily answered by saying both of them. You know, I'll just win both of them. Easy.
A little selfish, but you can't have everything, Joey.
Easiest way possible. But speaking of champions, only 2 NASCAR Truck Series champions in the field tonight. Last night in the GT3 Sprint Series, we were talking about it was a little bit of a Champions League. 5 champions from last season in the PRL were in that field. Still, the big 2, Acosta and Holly, they're always the big 2 in this Truck Series. They found each other in 3rd and 4th. They're both drivers who love to save tires. They're both drivers we always look for on the long run. But at least on the short run, Phase 2 chassis works with Powell and Regan. They've been unbeatable. They passed Abner Acosta on pace when that seemed pretty difficult in those first 10 laps.
I mean, I'm going to be real with you here. Looking at just the short run burst, Richard Regan, he's 2/10 on the field. He's a 10th up on what a 10th up on what Bradley Holly put down. He ran a 30.44. Now, yes, the long run wise, if you can call it a long run, we're about 14, 15 laps. Like whatever. Well, I mean, I'm going off of both since we really didn't pit. You only had 3 laps of caution. You only got 15 laps of green flag under your belt, but they're still running 31.0s. They've only dropped about a half a second. So you've dropped a half a second, but they've kept the pace. It was a 31.1, a 31.0, and everybody else is kind of there. There looks to be problems back here for Eric Lambert.
Yeah, Eric Lambert, I can't tell if that truck's a little bit crunkled on the front, but I wonder, was that just another Tom Amasti situation of losing it down pit road? Try and diagnose that issue if we can. But bad luck for one of our newer shower-uppers this season. Eric Lambert wasn't with us last season, and Texas has not been kind to him, at least to start this one. Abner Acosta and Bradley Holly, they look like they're looking to race for this 3rd place. Holly, at least, is not content to just hang back and run in 4th for now. He's all over the back of Abner Acosta as the 2 Phase 2 Chassis Works drivers kind of work together. You can see Brad moving around a little bit. He wants to make that move.
I am going to find this very, very interesting as we look on board. We were on board for a second with one of our other newer competitors, but you see a side-by-side battle back here. Not very many battles on the racetrack. This has become a one-dimensional race, battle for 17th between a newer person, Adam Gowen. I think I'm saying that
Shane.
Adam Shane. Adam Shane.
He's a returning driver this season. Adam Shane, of course, is a regular in PRL NASCAR competition. Whether it's truck, Sean Powell is dropping down the order. I don't know if that's an internet issue. I'm sorry, Adam Shane, but I got to ditch your anecdote here. Has Sean Powell just been disconnected from this race from the lead? I think he might have been. He's back. He's back, and he has the second lead somehow.
Oh, I want his internet.
Sean Powell has just been boosted to a 1.1 second lead in this race through the power of the internet. I think Richard Regan Jr. might be a little bit confused by that, but that's what can happen when you're racing online with the power of the internet. These things that can't happen in real life, sometimes they do happen, and now you got to figure out what the heck are you going to do. Are you just going to ride around here with this 1 second lead, or are you going to meet back up with your teammate and try and do what you were doing before again?
I mean, I'm calling his internet company when we get off this broadcast. I want to know what he's using for a second lead. I'll use that in every single race except for next week at Talladega. I want to be right next to somebody. But let's take a look here at this 41 machine of Doug Evans.
Oh, he gets touched by Jeff Hollingsworth. Great save by Doug Evans as we perfectly timed the cut to him. But Doug Evans almost got destroyed in turn 3 and 4 there.
Yeah, he's got the mullet sponsor this time. So everybody loves a good mullet, and I'm sure that the mullet machines here, because there's 2 of them this season, the mullet machines really want to be up there. As there's a driver, is that the 18 machine?
A huge loose by Reenshield. He's going to back out of the way here. He's trying to build the momentum back up, but Cowgill is going to get through in the SRT Esports machine. Adam Zemke, who was a winner last season on an intermediate, also gets through. Drivers are starting to struggle. It's certainly not a long run. 15 laps is probably a long run for me, but we're already seeing guys start to slip and slide a little bit.
I mean, they've fallen off quite a bit. It's now a second. So, you know, while a second doesn't seem like a whole lot, that's an eternity on the tires. The track temp is up. It's obviously hot in Texas real life, and it's hot on the sim as well. The sun's beating down. These trucks are not going to handle well, especially once we get to the 30, 35 range. And you danger if you can make it to the halfway point, which I think we're going to have a caution before then because somebody's going to spin off of one of these corners. It's just so hot and slick around here.
Scotty's running a little bit higher of a line in 1 and 2. I'm wondering, is that deliberate? Is he trying to pull something here? Maybe run a little bit of a wider line, cool himself down a little bit, if that's even possible, because it just kind of seems like he's missing the bottom of the track to me.
It could be tight. You could be tight on entry as you look at the battle for second. Most of the time you'll get a tight-ish feel here at Texas. Obviously, if it's an open setup, you can play around a little bit and kind of shift the weight of the truck to let it rotate better and have better turn in. But you're going to hurt something, especially with these sweeping corners and they're both separate. You'll either hurt turn 1, you'll hurt the center or the exit. It's really hard to be perfect around this racetrack. But on the fixed setups, you're just consistently tight because you're going to burn the crap out of the right front tire, and you're really not going to be able to catch it, especially if you're over driving the corners here.
Acosta is hounding Richard Regan Jr. right now, but we're going to look back to Austin Hunter, another driver who's kind of been driving his way through the field here. And of course, we have Austin on Zoom with the familiar sign behind him, thanks to Established Traffic Control, who I believe also sponsor a new livery on this truck for this season. Once we get a chance to look at it from the outside again, there it is. There's ETC and the Curling Club of Houston, of course, always helping out Austin Hunter.
You better, man. What's up, Austin? My man. We'll get him on there. He looks good. Looks really good, especially with the big old sign behind him. I still want one.
Yeah, Established Traffic Control used to be like 20 minutes away from me when I was on the other side of Pennsylvania, but now that we're in Pittsburgh, that's like a 5-hour drive now, so sorry to our friends at Established Traffic Control, and sorry to Richard Regan Jr. now, because the tire wizard is working his powers. He's hung back for a little bit, and now Abner Acosta has said, you know what, I think now's the time that I probably need to start moving forward. He dives down to the bottom. Regan's not going to block, but he's certainly going to pinch him all the way down to the white line. But Acosta's got the optimal run here, and Abner's back up into second.
Yeah, but for how long? Because he's going to ride that outside. Richard Regan Jr. is not going to roll over without a fight. But what I saw right there is, you see this smartness in these two drivers. You see that theme that sits right there that obviously connects the different grooves. They were smart enough to go side by side, and Regan Jr. was able to kind of like hug it, but not really touch it. He just stayed a little below it, a little above it. Oh no! He's taking the air off the apron.
Acosta clipped the apron a little bit, almost lost it. He's going to lose basically all that advantage he was gaining by finally getting by Richard Regan Jr. He's pulling away a little bit now, but Abner is certainly scaring us.
Well, right when he hit that apron, I don't think Regan Jr. cared or wasn't able to react faster. He got right up on his back bumper and made him even more loose. Just kind of like stood there.
Now Regan's the one slipping and sliding a little bit in 3 and 4. It's very tough through there. You would think, normally just a little bit of a lift, drive straight through, but we're 23 laps into this run now, and these tires are getting cooked. They're getting melted as Austin Hunter makes another move on Scotty Ryan's shield right now. Everybody else seems to be slipping and sliding through turns 3 and 4, but you would think Austin Hunter would be used to slipping and sliding, being in the curling club, so maybe that's why he's doing so well through there.
Too sure how that goes. But I'll take it.
Sweep the track with the broom.
That sounds right. I'll definitely buy that one for $1.
A little bit further back, Ozzie Milwain, another driver who's been kind of driving his way through the field. Didn't get a chance to talk to him much because I think we were interrupted by Sean Powell's internet shenanigans. But Milwain, I always love to point out the drivers in the Precision Racing League who race in multiple series. I don't believe Ozzie is actually racing in multiple series this season, unless he signed up for F3 or F4 tomorrow night. But Ozzie and his teammate Andrew Waring are normally GT3 drivers or road course drivers, whatever that is. But this season, Evolve Sim Sports have said, you know what? Ozzie Milwain, Andrew Waring, we're both going to do the NASCAR Truck Series this season, because why the heck not? Why not try something new? And I always love when we see that crossover in the PRL, because they have so many series to offer. Might as well try multiple of them.
I need to get myself in something. I need to get better on road courses. I'm just afraid of getting embarrassed. I mean, I do a broadcast once a week for RaceSpot, or 2, and that's embarrassing enough because I make fun of myself, and I'm sure people out there that watch probably make fun of me too. But I need to do some more racing, and I need to get better at road courses. And I hear there's a really good PRL road course series.
Multiple PRL road course series, 6 to be exact. GT4, MX5, 2 GT3 series, and then F4 and F3. So there's lots of series to pick from. Of course, you're gonna have to wait a couple weeks to sign up. If you at home are interested, you might have to wait about 7 or 8 weeks until this season comes to an end. But there's always open spots. There's always new drivers, and we're always welcoming anybody in any of those series, and the NASCAR Truck and Cup Series as well.
What do you think? I see the Precision Racing League is out there in our chat. What do you think? Old Terry Radford from the Wednesday night PR.
Terry in F4.
Let's get me an F4 ride for one race. I don't care what race it is. Give me one race, and we can swap. We can do the old driver swap thing that they did with Lewis Hamilton and Tony, and just flip us. Somebody come call the race on Wednesday night that races, and I'll go race for them on Monday night, Sunday night.
Thursday night, but anyway.
Thursday night, yeah, that's it.
IRO4.
There's so many. There's so many.
I should say IRO4. That is the term I'm supposed to be using. But back on track here, Thomas Sink has been putting on a show here. I'm glad we get to cut back into this, because he's been, I think, accidentally running about 12 lanes higher than Evans and Lane or Zemke ahead of him, and it was working for a moment, but now the fall of Thomas Sink seems to be seems to be in order here. He was trying to get by his teammate Jeff Evans. He was trying to get by Zemke, and now he's actually fallen back into the clutches of Jeff Hollingsworth.
Yeah, running any lane other than the bottom here. You can go maybe a half a lane to a lane up, but he was running a no man's lane. He was running where there was absolutely no rubber laid down. And anybody who watches the races here this weekend, you're not going to see any drivers just step out of line and go all the way up there. You see right here, Jeff Evans is going to go to the middle lane, which, you know, okay, maybe he's trying to do a little something different to get the momentum off the corner, but Adam Zemke's going to run the bottom, and he's going to get the position going into 3.
Zemke being given lots of room by Jeff Evans, fades up just a little bit, but that should be Zemke up into 6th place here. Evans is going to try and fight back through the quad oval, but it always seems like it's just a matter of time. Once you get to that inside, it is very, very difficult to fight back on that outside lane, and Zemke into turn 1 is already basically completely clear of Jeff Evans, and Adam Zemke is well and truly up into 6th place. Jeff Evans, of course, said he wasn't actually going to get any practice tonight. I mentioned that he's been held back by weather tonight, but he did get some practice in. He did get qualifying in, and of course he's running about where we'd expect him, being competitive in the top 10, and he was competitive in the top 10 in GT3 AM last night when I misidentified him as Mark Kalin. I said I would do an official apology on air tonight, and I guess that counts for that, Jeff Evans, so I hope you're happy.
It does. I'll say it counts for people with mullets everywhere. All right, we'll take it. We'll take it. You cannot confuse a Kentucky fan with a man Jeff Evans. That's illegal, Joey. It's illegal in many states. I mean, you see, Hollingsworth got around Thomas Sink in the 48. Sink starting to work back down to the bottom, but pit stops are on the horizon. Lap 43 hits the board, 43 to go. So I would expect to see drivers come in with about 40-ish to go. Maybe in like 3 to 4 laps, people need to start pitting. A couple drivers, Safety Hunter, Charles Sumner, those guys who pitted, you know, on lap 7, they might be in this for the strategic run.
And those are actually the drivers who are getting lapped right now. Charles Sumner just went a lap down to Sean Powell, and this is another thing that I'm sure Sean is worried about, but Richard Regan Jr., his teammate, has come down pit road. He's the first taker. Richard Regan Jr. in the 56 from now what was 3rd place. He fell to Abner Acosta, didn't quite lose that to Bradley Holly just yet, but he's the first one on pit road. Going to go for a little bit of an undercut here with 1 second, almost 1.5 seconds of fall off now. Can Powell and Acosta and Holly and everybody else afford to wait?
Man, we're way out there when it comes to lap times. Abner Acosta is going to come down. That's going to set Bradley Holly and Sean Powell out. But now this is going to be 2 laps that they're going to run. That a guy like Richard Regan Jr. is going to be on fresh tires. Now, while people think that's kind of crazy and that's going to be a not a lot of time, yeah, he's going to go out there and run a 30.4 or a 30.3. So, yes, he is going to gain about 2 seconds, about 2.5, but it's going to come back to Powell. But it depends on how hard that they use the tires. As Sean Powell's going to come down, Bradley Holly's going to come down. We'll see if Colton Lane, he does. Zemke's, everybody's coming down now. It's a whole except for Patrick Cowgill.
Patrick Cowgill's going to stay out, probably hope for a yellow. We saw Hollingsworth get it slowed down, a little bit wiggly though. And now we wait for the blend. Abner Acosta's coming around. Everybody else on pit road, Cowgill, Reinshield, Milwane, Jose Medina, and Ryan Trapper have all elected to stay out. They're all going to be waiting for a caution. But the true thing, the true lead of the race, rather, is going to be between Powell and Acosta once again, and also Richard Regan Jr., who pitted a few laps earlier. We'll see where everybody blends out. Sean Powell currently exiting pit road. Bradley Holly now off pit road. But the 5 that stayed out, Cowgill, Reinshield, actually 8, 9, 10, 11 that stayed out. Lots more drivers stayed out than I thought, but there's the blend. And look at that lead Richard Regan Jr. pulled with just that 3-lap undercut. It's a huge lead for Richard Regan Jr. It's almost 2 seconds over Acosta, who's also jumped Powell.
Yeah, and that's what I was talking about when it came to pitting. While you think that is not going to be a big deal, that, you know, flipping a couple laps doesn't make a whole lot of sense, that makes a ton of sense. Because for somebody like Richard Regan Jr., who did run part-time last season, was not here every week but had multiple wins, you have to flip the strategy. You have to do something a little bit outside the box, especially if your speed and your pace isn't there. And he flipped it. I mean, he flipped it big. Now what he's going to have to do is he's going to have to back it down just a tad bit, kind of balance himself out to where he's not, over driving that truck to get past some of these lap down, or who will be lap down trucks by the time we go down pit lane and start to cycle through pit stops. But he also needs to be looking at his mirror, because Acosta and Powell are going to fight for this position. Powell's been faster on the short run, but Abner Acosta's going to slow him up here.
Yeah, if this looks familiar, that is a good sign. You have a good memory. This looked exactly like the start of this race. Powell hounding Acosta. There wasn't a Charles Sumner in front of him at the start of this race. Powell's going to peek to the outside, but Charles Sumner, who is still racing them for position, he's trying to stay out for as long as possible, was slightly in the way to turn one. That minimized Powell's run here, but he has a little bit of run off the corner. Acosta's not going to block down to the bottom, but Powell is also not going to send it to the inside. Acosta is finally able to swerve down into the bottom in turn 3, but Powell is certainly keeping that back bumper company. Almost gets into the back of him off 4. See if he can find a hole to peek to the inside. He thinks about it, and Acosta says, "Of course I'm not going to open that door for you."
Yeah, he's not a proper gentleman here on the racetrack. I'm pretty sure Abner Acosta is not going to go just opening doors for anybody. I mean, he still has almost roughly about a 3-second lead or gap to catch up to the 56 of Regan Jr. In which I think if this thing stays green, Richard Regan Jr. just made the smartest call of the race because they're not catching him. They're not catching him. They're not running faster lap times than him. So boldest strategy of pitting that early, because if a caution came out, he was kind of, oh, look at the block. Oh my gosh.
There's the Abner Acosta block again. The block on Powell again. Powell's got to be getting frustrated now. He's tried it twice, or maybe he's understanding, because he thinks that, you know what, if I was in Abner's position, I'd probably be doing exactly the same thing. But Abner blocked Costa. I feel like we haven't seen this Abner for a while. He's getting aggressive here early in the run. He wants to keep Sean Powell behind, and I guess he needs to.
I think we've seen this in about 40 laps. It's been too crazy. But you got to remember, yeah, you're the defending champ, but you raced them for 9 more weeks. He doesn't have any teammates. Remember what he told us at the end of last season going to the championship race? I don't have teammates. I have nobody to work with at Daytona. If I make a move, now I gotta hope somebody goes with me. I don't know if I necessarily want to block or piss them off. Oh my God.
There they go again.
He tried it again.
Well, you know, there is one change this season. Abner does actually have a teammate this season, and Brandon Walter, he's going to squeeze Powell down to the bottom there. No room for error for Sean Powell. One slip up, and Acosta's squeeze will wipe them both out. But Powell does finally get to the inside. Unfortunately for him, there's a lap truck in front. I believe that's Dylan Schmidt, who's going to go one more lap down. Yes, it is Dylan Schmidt. Acosta trying to make the outside work. He's going to get a little bit of a draft from Dylan, actually, but he's not going to be able to get down in front of Powell. I think this is Powell. Perfect for Powell. He's going to get to the inside. Schmidt's going to move down. Schmidt's all over the place, and Acosta's going to fall back into third.
Oh, that was hard. That we almost watched a dramatic ending to 2 very talented drivers race, but it's 2.5 seconds if you're Powell to Richard Regan Jr. And like I said again, unfortunately, you are not beating him lap time wise. He ran a 31.1, and yes, he's going through some lap traffic, but you also have to think too, he's going to get a tow. That 2.5 second back that you are from him, you got to really hope that you catch up to these drivers and get some of the draft that he's getting, because he's getting a massive pull, and he's a 10th up on you going through traffic. So, I would be a little concerned if I was Sean Powell, if he's still faster than me going through lap traffic as the battle for 6 rages on.
That was more than some lap traffic for Richard Regan Jr. I think that was terrifying. They were like 3 wide for a moment, but it looks like he has navigated through them all safely here. And the battle for 6th, Lane and Zemke, both drivers very, very strong at the end of that long run. Jeff Hollingsworth was as well. As a little bit of smoke in turn 4. No immediate reason for... Oh, James Dewar. James Dewar's back down pit road. Looks like that engine might have exploded halfway through 3 and 4, but he will bring it down pit road. No harm, no foul. No caution's going to come out because of that. And also, Tom Amasi, who they just passed in the background there, he's not a lap truck. He's still out there. He's still waiting for that caution to come out. Remember, he came down pit road after the second caution, or the first caution, rather, on lap 10. So he's still got a couple more laps on this stint if he can make it. And if the caution comes out, Tom Amasi is in a pretty solid position here. He might be able to restart in the top 10.
My man, out here making dreams happen. But can he get the caution? It's single file. We're gapped out here. The lead's starting to close, kinda. It's almost 2 seconds here. You see the battle here between Abner Acosta and Bradley Holly. I think Abner Acosta used his tires up early. This is not a racetrack to use your tires up in the first, 10, 15 laps, but his lap times are showing me that he has, started to drive some off there. He's got the all-time winner right behind him in Bradley Holly, who, does he look a little short to you this season? Did he lose some height?
I think he's decided to pan it up so we can see that space shuttle in the background and the Star Wars thing and the Hubble telescope and whatever that car is and those like Funko Pops or something. I think he's just trying to show off the shelf this season. We've seen enough of Bradley Holly's face. Let's see the rest of his room.
I want to see like what your tables look like your end tables. So challenge to Bradley Holly, I want to see like a panoramic shot of the whole room, because we show our I don't know where you sit. I show my room off. I want to see his.
Lap car's in the way again. Oh dear, it gets scarier every single time. Abner Acosta is going to be a lapped car fan number 15,000 after tonight, because oh my goodness, but they survived another one.
Oh my gosh. Can this get any like crazier on the racetrack to pass somebody? Like every time we pan to a battle, it's like there's a car right in front of them. It's like, all right, they're gonna move. Oh no, never mind. They're hitting the apron. They're sideways, and the fight's over at the time. But I wanted to point this out a little while ago. Out of your top 10, which is why I'm glad we're doing the playoff thing this season, out of your top 10, only 3 drivers are not racing for 2 championships. That's impressive.
Bad news for Tom Amasi fans. The caution, of course, hasn't come. He's finally down pit road, and he has to ditch that strategy, unfortunately. So Tom will likely go 1 or 2 laps down now, but he had to stick it out. He had to try something, didn't quite work out. But for now, Bradley Holly still on the attack on Abner Acosta. Looks like Austin Hunter is all over the back of Thomas Sink as well, and those are the closest battles on the racetrack right now. It's not really driver versus driver. It's more like driver versus lapped car. That seems to be the main dynamic here.
And I would be...
Look at the Hunters together. Family rivalry. Lapped car Nicholas Hunter kind of holds up Austin a little bit there. Backs out of it, though. But is Austin going to be happy with a 2-lap down? Nicholas with a damaged truck hanging out in the high line there. He shakes his head. Family rivalries are brewing.
I should have wrecked him. Austin, if you can hear us, you definitely should have wrecked him right there. We could have used a caution. We'd have had under 20 to go. A knockdown, drag-out fight at Texas. You would have had a chance to win potentially. Smile if you heard us. No? Oh, he's telling us no. He didn't want to wreck him. It's sad.
I think he can just see on the Zoom when we are looking at him. I don't think he
smiling. No, he can hear us. He's smiling.
I think he might be able to hear us. Okay, is that a competitive advantage? Is that stream sniping? I don't know. I'm not esports enough for that.
No, I'm not either. I think he knows that we know that he knows that we know that he can hear us.
Yes.
Yes.
Trouble on the apron on the back straight. Somebody drove through the grass in the quad oval a lap before, and I just saw some truck exploded down in the bottom. Is that Jose Medina in trouble? I think it may have been. I think Jose Medina's truck is currently exploding, and he's going to bring it down pit road. No, Jose Medina's all good. I think I was Jose's Cup livery or paint scheme looks a lot like that truck paint scheme that we just saw on the apron, but we'll figure out who the heck that was. There's only so many trucks on track. We'll look back in a little bit, but you know who's not looking back? Richard Regan Jr. That was Brian Hoskins, by the way, just to update you. He has finally brought that truck down pit road. He's been a troubled driver tonight, Brian Hoskins. I don't know why or how that truck has exploded, but Brian Hoskins, another driver who competes in multiple series in the Precision Racing League, he's been competing for the last 3 nights. His night's going to end early as Richard Regan Jr. is getting through even more lap traffic, and that gap is coming down. Sean Powell, that gap was like 2 seconds a couple laps ago, and it's down to 1.
Yeah, it's down to 1, and you see the lap times there. Sean Powell might have saved something because he's running it's about a tenth and some change up here, and that time it was almost 0.2 of a second as he ran a 31.7 to a 31.9. So yeah, Richard Regan Jr. might have pressed it a little too hard there. I mean, he had his best time was 0.2 faster than Sean Powell, and he ran his fastest time, Richard Regan Jr., on this stint.
And last lap for Regan, 31.9 as they cross the line now. Sean Powell still actually a little bit slower. They ran essentially the same lap time that time, but Powell was 0.006 of a second slower. So we see Tom Amasi on those new tires getting by Richard Regan Jr. He's only 1 lap down now. Battling further back, Jeff Evans, Jeff Hollingsworth. It's Jeff v. Jeff. I think that's Garrett Austin up ahead, who's also working to get one of his laps back. But the inter-Jeff battle for P7, Hollingsworth, I think, has been the stronger of the two across the long run, but they've got a lap car to deal with if Garrett can't pull away.
Wonder if Jeff will wreck Jeff. Jeff on Jeff violence? No. The lap traffic's still there. And we're going to see this for probably the remainder of the race unless we do get that caution to come out. It's going to be just who can navigate any lap traffic or all. As now, he can see Sean Powell. He's coming.
Yeah, clear track between the two. Tom Amasi drove by. Mark Kalin went by the wayside, I should say. He got past. Now we ride on board with Sean Powell. Clear track. You can see the difference in turn 1 alone. If you're watching the ticker, a full 1/10 of a second taken out of that lead. Gonna lap another truck here, but Sean Powell is closing down that gap. Does he have enough time, though? 15 laps to go, 0.8 of a second, and once he gets to his team, can he actually make the move?
I mean, your teammates until the last lap, or last lap-ish of a race, I would move it. But that's just me. I would move anybody. I'm pretty sure I would move my mother. I would move the president of iRacing if he was in my way for a win. If I'm Sean Powell, I'd get right back down that back bumper, and I would move him up the racetrack and say, see ya, son, I'm going to win at Texas.
In case you are scared, Steve Myers, if you and Terry sign up for a PRL race together, that is disallowed by the Precision Racing League rulebook, so I should just clarify that for the viewers at home. You won't see much rubbing and racing and wrecking this season because it has been explicitly disallowed by the rulebook. We just noticed that over the off season, but we're still going to theorize. Of course, we're still going to theorize. Why wouldn't you? You know, sometimes that's the only possibility.
I mean, it could be anywhere. Obviously, next week's Talladega, everybody's going to be super excited. If you're racing in a lobby with me, for the 48 people that's watching, you see me in your race, I will be the most loyal person that you will ever see on a racetrack until the exit of the quad oval. When we exit that quad oval, I don't care who you are. You could be my mother, my foster mother. You could be my sister, my wife. I'm wrecking you across that line. We are getting across that line with me winning that race.
Sean Powell brings down another 0.2 as him and Regan both got by Robert Happy Gilmore there. 5.5 of a second. It's coming down with every single lap. Acosta's not closing the same. Holly isn't closing down either. It is Phase 2 Chassis Works domination here. And look up front, even more lap traffic. Dalton Geyer, Mike Richter, and Jose the Funky Colt Medina all still on the lead lap. Also all still fighting for position for 15th. That's a battle for position. How's that going to impact the battle for the lead for position? They're going to catch them in a matter of laps, but it might not even matter because Sean Powell breaks out another 10th and a half on that lap. He might get by Regan before they even catch the lap traffic.
I don't know, because you're starting to see Richard Regan Jr. move around. You're starting to see that back end start to kick just a tad bit, but he's also in dirty air. And while Sean Powell's in dirty air, there's more of a wake on Richard Regan Jr. You see the wheel in the car starting to move back and forth just a little bit. He's having to really fight it off the exit of the corner, which is good for us, but not very good for him because he's working the right rear. He's lighting that tire on fire. Look at Sean Powell going out of the corner. It's like bam, all the way down to the bottom. He's feathering a little bit. He's not really jerking the wheel, and he just lets it slide up, and then he fights it off the exit, but not as hard as Richard Regan Jr.
Regan actually pulled away a little bit on exit there. I thought Geyer on the higher line was going to hold him up just a little bit, but no, Geyer still holding tough on that high line, still holding quite a bit of speed, but he's going to wiggle around a little bit. Regan's trying to find a way by. He peeks to the inside in the quad oval, and Geyer very respectfully leaves him the room. He's going to leave Powell the room as well. That leaves one more truck, Jose Medina, in that 24 to get by. It's been fairly easy picking so far for Regan. Richter got out of the way. Now Geyer gets out of the way. Is Jose Medina going to get out of the way, though?
I had this argument not too long ago with somebody that said it is the lap down traffic's job to move out of the way of the leader. No, it's not. It is not their responsibility to move for that race leader. It's the race leader's job to move them out of the way or to get around them. Race them as hard as possible. Race the leader like you're staying on the lead lap because you don't know. You don't know what you don't know. You don't know if the caution's coming out. So if I'm Jose Medina, I don't care who you are.
He's blocking down to the bottom. He is running his own line. He's running his own race. Richard Regan Jr. gets loose in the wash. Well, he hits the wall on the exit of 4. Sean Powell gets the run. He peeks to the outside the quad oval. Sean Powell on the quarter panel of Richard Regan Jr. not able to go around the outside, though, because there is a 24 truck on that higher line. Regan's going to hold on. He's going to survive this first attack, but Powell is right there.
But is he going to survive? And he couldn't clear Jose Medina. That's what's crazy. The 56 of Richard Regan Jr., who has been what we could say the catalyst for the second half, he couldn't clear him. He couldn't pass him at all. The little side drift he tried down the back straightaway did not work. And now Sean Powell, he's there. 5 to go. He's shoving him into the corners. This is funny.
Jose Medina has finally been dispatched once again. It's Phase 2 Chassis Works versus Phase 2 Chassis Works. Powell finally able to clear Jose Medina, and now he's got one truck in front of him, one truck between him and the lead. Clearly he's got the fresher rubber. It's only 2 laps younger overall, but Powell is a very, very hungry driver right now, and he is a very, very quick truck underneath him. But how do you get by Richard Regan Jr.? 4 laps to go at the line. Is Powell going to peek to the outside here, go for a little bit of a road course style crossover on his teammate? There's more lap traffic up ahead. Charles Sumner and more. It's not over for Regan. He can't sit back here. This is going to be the defense and the offense of his life as he's navigating 2 different races here.
Yeah, it's wild to think that turns 1 and 2, Richard Regan Jr. is better off the exit, but 3
Brandon Walter slow on the bottom. Powell's going to peek to the inside again. He peeks to the outside, clips the grass a little bit. Walter gets to the outside. He gets out of the way. Sumner's going to stay out of the way as well. He's going to let Regan and Powell through. Regan keeps having these scary moments off the corner. He keeps getting held up, and Powell's still not able to make the move as they both slide off of turn 2 rather. But look at the run Powell's got. It's down below a 1/10 of a second. He's going to run a little bit higher in turn 3. 2 laps to go at the line. Powell's got another good run going here, but Regan is defending within an inch of his life.
Well, that was the first time through turns 1 and 2 that Sean Powell had a run, because he's been predominantly faster in 3 and 4, and he tries to work the outside lane here with 2 to go. I'm not sure that that's the smartest move, but he couldn't get to the bottom, Joey. He just couldn't do it. So he has to work down the back straightaway, get this momentum, get into 3, and just hope that the 56 gets a bad run.
White flag is in the air for Richard Regan Jr. It's the battle of the teammates to kick off the season. Regan versus Powell. 56 versus 45. Powell not able to get a run off of turns 1 and 2 on that last lap. He's going to run a little bit lower this time. He's going to hope to not slide off the exit, but he does. He is sideways off the corner. Regan gets a better run, and I think that might be it. That might have just sealed it for Regan, unless something goes horribly wrong in 3 and 4. Richard Regan Jr. pulled off the undercut just 2 laps earlier. Then Powell and Acosta. It has worked out beautifully. PRL NASCAR Truck Series 2022 Season 4 is kicked off with a win by Richard Regan Jr.
Wow.
We didn't think that the race would be good. I personally did not think that the race at Texas would be good, but what a race from the teammates. The strategy played to perfection. One caution. Caution-free the rest of the way. What a kickoff to the season for the PRL. Once again, a crap track, but they never disappoint when it comes to the racing on the track.
That's exactly why I said that in the intro. We can go to Texas, we can go to Kentucky, we can go to
Nashville.
Yeah, name another track that nobody likes, and they always find a way to put on a show. And Richard Regan Jr., he told us at the end of last season that now that he's back full time, he probably thinks he's going to be able to fight for the championship, and that's not a surprise. Multi-time champion in the Cup Series, and he kicks off the Season 4 in 2022 with a NASCAR Truck Series with a victory, and it was Phase 2 Chassis Works domination. They dominated Daytona to end last season as well, and that's got to be pretty scary for the other big names in this series. For Acosta trying to defend his title with private label team hype this season, for all the Wonneback guys, Phase 2 Chassis Works, they know how to work together. They've got an armada.
I mean, I don't know, just working together, but they've got two really fast drivers that went out there and beat some of the best drivers in this league. And yeah, I agree with Darren Roy Race, and the PRL drivers know how to put a show on. Phase 2 Chassis Works just put on a show.
Let's scroll through the finishing results. Of course, Richard Regan Jr., your victor and your fastest lap getter on lap number 3. How about that? And Sean Powell was right behind him in that titanic battle for second. Bradley Holly was able to get through his championship rival from last season, Abner Acosta. He finishes in third. Acosta was fourth. Adam Zemke, a great finish for him in the top 5. And then Colton Lane and Jeff Evans make it 5 playoff drivers in a row down to 7th. Hollingsworth and Cowgill both kick off the season with a top 10, as does Thomas Sink, yet another Wonneback playoff driver. Then down in 11th, it was Austin Hunter, so close to a top 10, ahead of Ozzie Milwane. And Scotty Reinshield, the Phase 2 Chassis Works third driver, finishes 13th. Jose Medina was the first driver 1 lap down. He actually got by Brandon Walter after Walter got lapped. And then Dalton Geyer couldn't get higher than 16th. Adam Shane is back in the series. He was 17th. Mike Richter, 18th. Panzarella and Doyle Lawrence round out the top 20, but we're going to keep on going. Ryan Traver, CM Pennington, Stacy Hunter, and then a pair of Goffs were down to P25. Tom Amasi and Dylan Schmidt were the last 2 drivers on the lead lap. Sumner went 2 laps down. Doug Evans went 2 laps down after a great qualifying, and Robert Gilmore did as well. And then we started to get into the used car lot. Austin, Perez, and Kalen brought it to the end of the race. Lambert did as well, but Nicholas Hunter brought it to the end of the race, just 16 laps down with a destroyed car. And Brian Hoskins and James Dewar, both of their trucks were smoking on pit road on 2 separate occasions. So bad luck for them, but very, very good luck for Richard Regan Jr. It worked out perfectly for you. 2-lap undercut, we go green to the end, and you hold off your teammate for the win.
Yeah, I'll take that. Yeah, I don't know. I've been practicing the Cup car, and today I was practicing the truck a little bit, and I don't know. It was weird. Like, obviously the set would get super loose on the long run, so it was like every time I tried to like save tires, it would be too slow at the beginning, or then like I tried to burn up the right front to keep the right rear and like the right front and the right rear near each other, and it still was too slow. So I knew I had to pull some strategy, and yeah, thanks to Sean for racing me clean, even though it was super hard right there.
Yeah, I can only imagine how hard it was from your perspective getting through those lapped cars, because we were terrified for you guys up in the booth. But with Shane and Geyer and Medina and Walter, you guys were seemingly passing a new lapped car every single lap, and you managed to make it through. You still managed to survive.
Yeah, you know, the lap cars are catchy because I am 100% understand what they're racing for, but in my opinion, when it's under 10 to go and the leaders are bumper to bumper within a half a second battling for the win, it's kind of a courtesy thing to just move out of the way. So that made my life a lot more difficult than I thought. But yeah, we were able to survive and still grab the win.
So you were part-time last season, still got a couple of wins. We expect you full-time this season. Is this going to be your first Truck Series championship? We know you got a couple in the Cup Series, but is this the season you finally get it done in the trucks?
We'll see. We got some heavy hitters. Obviously, the overall yearly championship is involved or tied into this season 4 here. So I know Abner and Brad and all of them have some extra incentives to run good. So yeah, unfortunately, I missed that by a couple of spots in the point standings. So yeah, honestly, a championship would be nice, but I'm just here for wins.
All right. Well, first race of the season. I've got to do it. I've got to order it. Thank all those sponsors. Thank the team, and after that, we'll kick you out.
Yeah, I got to thank Liquid Molly and Gearhead Coffee, as well as Jay-Z Photography for coming on board for this year. We got some things in the work for next year that we should be coming out here pretty soon. I gotta give a shout out to Tyler Justice, Sean Powell, Scotty Johnson, my crew chief and spotter Reese Bogue. Awesome job again tonight. Everyone at the PRL and you guys for putting on the league.
That was your victor tonight, Richard L. Regan Jr. I don't emphasize the L enough, but we're going to talk to his teammate who unfortunately took the L tonight. Terry, talk to Sean Powell.
That's yeah, that was nice. That was a good little transition. I don't even know how to follow that. Sean Powell, P2. Not obviously not where you want to finish, but for Phase 2 Chassis Works, that's exactly where they wanted. Where you wanted to finish. Would you erect him though?
Nah, it's a teammate. I didn't know he short pitted and he got in front of me. I just, here it's like someone's getting in front of you. You could be a tenth faster or 2 tenths faster. Oh man, I don't know how fast I was. Probably like a tenth, I would say. When I got to him, I just cut through nothing with him because just a line sits to the track. You can't really pass nowhere. But that was a good strategy call on Richard there, though.
Yeah, it was smart. It was very smart. But I just out of curiosity, it kind of piqued me here because we all talked about how much we hate this track. Rank this on a scale of every track that you've ever been to or seen. Where would you put Texas?
At the lowest of the lows. I hate it. I hate this track. Yes! It's probably one of my worst tracks. One of the worst. Like I'm never great here. Like I know I laid some laps tonight, but I just hate this place. I can't figure out turns 1 and 2. 3 and 4 is fine, but 1 and 2. I mean, who can't get through 3 and 4 though? But yeah, that was a good race. I just there at last, I just heated my right rear up just a little bit too much and trying to give it a little bit too much, and I'm just sliding my tires off of 2 where Richard was beating me at, and I feel like I was beating him in 3 and 4.
Well, we're starting season 4 of 2022. How many races are you going to win this season? Let's go predictions for a second. You obviously finished second here tonight. We go to Dega next week. I guess that's a wild card. You got teammates. Can you go on a string and win some this season?
I don't know, man. You got some fast guys in here. You got Abner, you got Richard, and you got Bradley. You got some fast guys in here, and it's just kind of hard to say, Like, I know I don't.
Oh, let's be cocky for a second. Just spit out a number. Where are you winning? How many can you win?
I'm gonna say two.
Okay, at least you're honest. You're honest. Most people will just tell me all of them. Yeah, just you come up here. Let's just shoot the bull for a little bit. You got a very fast liquid moly machine. You came on very strong last season at the end of it. I put you in the finals. I think you're the guy that goes in at the end of the season. That you and your teammate are fighting for the championship.
I think Richard's fighting for. And there's like 2 championships going on here. One for like the rounds and one for the 10 race season.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to win. I don't know. It's really. I feel like if I could just finish the races, like the last season, I couldn't finish some races, which I think I finished like 30 in the point still, but to win them, you got to finish top 5 consistently, and I just had some couple bad races last season and got behind, and when you get behind, it's just so hard to get back up. At least last season was tight sets, and this season seems to be a little bit loose on the looser side, so passing shouldn't be as difficult, but we got to go to places where we're not using so much throttle like Texas for passing opportunities to be better.
I like it. Let's thank those beautiful sponsors, and then we get to, we move on to the next, I think, P3.
I want to thank Liquid Molly for believing in us. Gearhead, Phase 2, Chassis Works, Tyler on the boxing night, and I feel like I'm forgetting something like always, but for y'all guys to broadcast, and for Charles and the whole group putting this league on RaceSpot, so I'll appreciate it.
Well, we appreciate you, Sean. I'm sure we're going to talk it, I would say, at least 7 times out of the 10 race season.
All right, I'll try to make that bet.
Sean Powell, congrats on P2. Joey, we got somebody up next.
Yeah, 5 seconds back from the Phase 2 Chassis Works drivers. An unfamiliar position, I guess, for Bradley Holly. It seemed like it's a tough race out there, especially with all these long runs. Were you expecting that long of a run, or that long of both runs at Texas when we came in here tonight?
With our track record at Texas, it's been pretty consistent on having long runs. So, I practiced long runs and green flag stops, but just didn't have the pace in the first run, and kind of fell back a little too much.
Seemed like you and Abner kind of had your own battle going on in parallel there for third place. You finally got by him with a couple laps to go, but were you fighting that as hard as you fought any win?
Yeah, for the most part. I was, I finally got the rear tires to settle down on that last run, and was able to reel Abner back in and get by him. But it was a tough race.
All right, I think I'm allowed to ask you about this. They might be proprietary, but I'm looking behind you. We've been looking behind you all night because I think you might have deliberately framed this. I see a space shuttle. I see a Funko Pops. I see a Hubble Space Telescope. I see all sorts of stuff back there. Talk us through that.
I'm basically a gigantic kid. So, I love Legos and building them, and I got another little Lego project coming up that probably going to take me a week to build. So,
Which one is it?
I got the Star Destroyer for my birthday last week. So, looking forward to it, but at the same time, I'm probably going to make my fingers bleed.
I am not biased. I am a professional journalist, but I always got to root for a Lego driver. Anyway, P3 tonight, kicking off the season, kicking off the playoffs. Pretty good. I'm sure you wish it was a little bit better, but thank all those sponsors, thank all those teammates.
Yeah, first off, I want to thank all the Waterback guys. We practice week in and week out trying to get the best runs and try to have the best finishes week in and week out. I want to thank Rosemary Custom Homes for sponsoring me again. I always love having them on the truck. I'd like to thank you guys for broadcasting us. Y'all put on a fantastic show, and everybody in the PRL.
Everybody in the PRL, indeed. Bradley Holly, P3, and again, not biased at all towards a Lego guy, but Terry, we're going to talk to an 11th place finisher, but just because he was so nice and he turned his Zoom on for us, I think it's worthwhile talking to him.
I can be biased because I'm not a professional. I'm just kidding. We're totally professional. Austin Hunter, you still got the beautiful side behind you, and appreciate you for listening on to us up here, banter on throughout this race.
I try to. When you're, mid-pack and driving around by yourself, you at least need something to listen to while you're going, so it helps to listen to y'all to know what's going on extra in the race.
Oh, well, hopefully we're informative, because half the time I just think we're talking, nonsense.
Hey, the nonsense helps, I'm surrounded by all my friends here at Waterback, so I'm used to a bunch of nonsense going around.
Ouch. Shout out to Waterback. No. So obviously you didn't get the finish early in the season. Texas is a crappy track regardless. I think we can all thank breathe a sigh of relief that this is over. I only have one more race to call here, and I get to rid myself of this track for the year. But you got Dega next week. We got Iowa coming up, Martinsville. Any particular track that just goes, yep, that's where I'm going?
Well, first off, I am Texas born and raised, so I hate Texas a little less than most people. I go to every Texas race I can. I have to miss this one coming up this weekend, but I always seem to run well at Martinsville. I think it just kind of suits the stomping on the brakes and getting off. It's pretty good for me there. Talladega is always a crapshoot, so it's either I run really well and that's where I got my win this year. It was at Daytona, or you end up on fire. So it's always interesting.
I'm going to be a little bit more biased here. I'll give you the pass that you are from Texas. You like Texas a little bit less. I won't hate you for it. Thank those sponsors and all the people on that beautiful sign behind you.
Yeah, absolutely. Always got to thank my friend Brendan Chitley with Established Traffic Control, helping me out this season and getting me behind the wheel again. My friends at Houston Curling Club, it's always a blast every Friday night to get out on the ice. And, definitely the guys at Waterback, we're always such a strong team. It's always proud to be a part of them. And you guys, you always put on such a great broadcast. It's always fun listening to the crazy stuff you're going to come up with here, Terry. And Joey's always fantastic. I appreciate you guys a lot.
Out of all the broadcasts for PRL, is this your favorite one?
Always. Oh, definitely. Definitely.
Shout out PRL.
Gotta love PRL. I've been around for a long time.
Joey, we should do all of them together. Austin Hunter, I will see you next week, my friend.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
Heck yeah. You want to tag team Mark Kalin, Joey?
I love all of my children equally. I'll say that much at least. But Mark Kalin is up here. Before I let you loose on him, Terry, I do have to ask Mark Kalin a question. This week has not gone very well for you, Mark, has it? I think you said in our chat that you were wrecked in both races this week, and unfortunately you found the wall again after your old teammate Nicholas Hunter got spun in front of you.
Yeah, I should have backed down a little bit more than I did, but I didn't realize he was not going to save it until it was too late. And it was either hit him or hit the wall, pretty much, because that gap was closing fast. And so it was kind of a lose-lose situation, and it is what it is, but gosh, what an awful week.
All right, if anybody's still tuning in, if you're interested in college sports, prepare yourself, because this is going to be the broadcast outro for you. I'm going to let Terry out of his cage and have at it.
So October 29th is the big matchup. We'll have a broadcast obviously before. We'll have said broadcast after. Tennessee, according to the matchup predictor from ESPN, is 73.9% of winning this game. So that's according to the Football Power Index, that Tennessee's going to win. And I believe, if everything serves me right here, across the board, Tennessee is better. So I'll give the floor to you, and we'll make a friendly little wager. Okay, I'll put my leg down. We'll make a very friendly wager here on the PRL broadcast. I'm taking Tennessee by 20. And I'll give you something in return. Final score will be 34-14, Tennessee in Neyland.
Okay. Now, before I do anything, you're probably right. Tennessee is probably better. Kentucky is still largely unproven in my eyes. So far, all they've played is Florida. And exactly. So... Well, I don't know. We got a couple more weeks here. See what they've got.
I'll give you 20 points. You had to beat me in the points.
No. I'll take your bet, but it's still possible you might win.
I want to see Tennessee Orange on that truck.
Okay.
If I win, I want to see Tennessee Orange on that truck for the remainder of this season. All I want to see is a big T on it. But if you win, I will take my happy butt to the mall down the street, and I'll get a Kentucky Wildcat hat, and I'll wear that hat the rest of the season on every PRL broadcast I'm on.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'll take that bet.
Virtual deal. I like it. Yeah.
Why
Let's go
not?
Vols.
Hopefully my cats pull out another thriller.
You better
and,
tweet to them.
Yeah. I have to go drive 45 minutes down there to Lexington and go talk to Mark Stoops.
Better get him on the digits, boys, because the PRL's got a friendly rivalry in here.
There you go.
I
Well,
feel like
there's another.
I feel like this is what sports broadcasting would have been like in like the 1930s. It's like we've got like sports bets coming in. We've got drivers and commentator, and it's I don't know what's going on anymore. But we do have a friendly rivalry, and it's Terry in the god position versus the measly human Mark Kalin. Who will come out on top?
I mean,
Go
I'm
Vols.
interested to see that. But you know, your boy Colton over there, he's a Vols fan too.
That's why we like Colton Lane a little bit more here. You should notice he gets more airtime.
Right?
I'm just playing. We totally don't play favorites here. Except for Joey.
Yes, of course. I only root for people who put Legos in the backgrounds of their shots. But anyway, thank you, Mark Kalin. We always
like
root.
that?
We also root for you because you show up 3 nights a week. We always love drivers who are spreading their driving abilities across multiple series, and we'll see you next week for 3 more, and hopefully you're able to finish a couple more of them.
Well, I'm gonna have to correct you because it's 4.
Oh.
Yeah, I raced 4
yeah, the
nights
Cup
a week.
series. Of course,
Yeah.
of course.
So I'm a little tired.
He calls so
Little.
many.
Yep.
Yeah, I know. It's like Joey and somebody else every night.
We'll get you in the F3 series next season so you can do all 5 nights. How about that?
I don't know if my fiance would allow that. That'd be a tall order.
All right, well, thanks for talking to us, Mark Kalin, and we'll see you next week.
Take it easy, guys.
Mark Kalin, we are going to get him in the F3 series next season. Who cares? 5 nights a week, every single series. And we're finally ready to wrap up. We had a couple extra minutes there, Terry. We had a quick race. We had 1 caution, so we had some extra time to fill, but it's finally time to end off the night, and we had a good race at Texas. We did the impossible. We're going to do it 9 more times this season.
Yeah, I really wish that they would bulldoze this place, turn it into like this big RV lot. Camping World, maybe throw it out there for the Camping World owner, buy it, make it into this massive camper lot, and just let people go live on it, because this track, it's disgustingly bad. But the PRL never disappoints. I can't wait for Iowa and Martinsville with this series, because these boys, they're going to put on a show, and I'm excited.
They will indeed put on a show, but before anything, there's your Talladega preview. I guess we'll do that one first. Round 2 of the playoffs, round 2 of the season, Talladega. Predict your results. Might as well not. I probably should have gotten the random number generator out tonight, but I think I'll do that next week. So we'll pick another winner at Talladega. But be here, same time as always, 9 p.m. EST Wednesday night. Terry and Josh and I will be back here with you, and all of the stars and cars, or stars and trucks rather. There's probably another word that could rhyme with that. We'll be back on Wednesday night. We'll also be back tomorrow night. Me and Justin Prince will be here for the Formula IRO 4 series and the Formula 3 series here in the Precision Racing League. 5 nights a week of action. Thank you for joining us on RaceSpotTV tonight. And from me, from Terry Radford, from Josh Lee, once again, we thank you for being here with us tonight. So long.